Better late than never has become the motto of the Dairy Raid over the course of this season. As per usual, don't really have control over when I get the film, but we finally got it. The Badgers offense versus Indiana. So without further ado, so I can actually get this up, hopefully before the Illinois game, and running away from Joe Brunner and Riley Mallman. And we can see this right here on the takeoff. Brunner should be opening and working here to then climb. That should be his angle if we're running it correctly the right way. Riley Mallman should be working to 97 to be able to get him hooked up field. And what we're going to see here is on the snap, 97 does a pretty good job with when Brunner leaves, he leans, and then when he starts to feel Mallman, he turns his back. And so what ends up happening, first thing, Brunner just kind of gets thrown into the defensive tackle here on the front side, and then Riley Mallman kind of gets washed out and basically pushes himself into this pile. And what it does is it really screws up Gideon Atuka's ability to read. You can see how the gaps are kind of opening up here. This is where he's aiming to get to. And if we could stop the flow right here, I think we're okay. But because Brunner is got too much momentum, too high in the wrong angle, he kind of throws and pushes Heinzen. And then as Brunner's getting pushed, so is Mallman, and we just get this big mass of, and we gain 3 yards. But as has been a theme throughout this, for a lot of this season, especially late, the left side of our offensive line, the experienced side, has not been that strong, especially in the wide zone game. All right, next up, we've got the next play in this drive, very next play, and this is an example of what I'm hoping is the direction of the run game going forward with Carter Smith. Is building, instead of building off the wide zone, is building off of variations of inverted veer, power, etc. So what we're going to get here, we're in a 2x2. We're going to motion. We're going to ride with the jet sweep, and we're going to be reading here on the front side. We're going to be reading the edge player. We're going to be reading the overhang. When they widen, we're going to sneak our tight end. In this case, it's Jackson Aker. Underneath, he's going to be the inside option on this shovel. This is the exact play that I saw them working on in spring ball online. The clips you saw, it's this little shovel inside, and there are so many variations that you can run to get this same idea with east-west movement and with north-south threat. Okay, so we can run this out of a single back formation. The running back is the outside, the quarterback is inside. We can run this in a 2-back look where we get a pitch option and a shovel option. We could do like we're doing here where we get a jet sweep and inside. There are so many variations of, it's basically triple option. And this do for himself here is, I think he goes through the progression, how he's being taught. I think his footwork's okay. The little things that maybe I would want to do different. But what it comes down to for me is, and again, maybe it's different the way that I teach quarterbacks because I get less time to work with them. So I need to speed the process up more. And what I look to put into my pass plays, and I've said it a million times on here, are accelerators, things that can get me through the progression faster so I don't get caught in a situation where I'm waiting and waiting for something to happen. So we get a case like that here where maybe we could put one in. So what we're having is we're just having a little corner and an out with a little sit and a little hunt route. Okay. So if we look at how these routes are being set up, And with the spacing that we have on the field, so what we're going to get is we're going to get inside release to an out or a corner, depending on the spacing. And that is a terrible drawing, but you get what I mean. And we're going to get an out. Bottom of the screen, we're going to get a deeper kind of curl route, and then we're just going to get Jackson McGowan to sit over the ball. Now, what I am looking for in a situation like this is, again, ways to get my quarterback through his progression faster. So what can I do with that? Well, it all comes down to when we get going through our drop, is my receiver already capped before I get there? So when this play opens up and starts running, let's get this going. Okay, already I'm not even to the top of my drop yet, and I know I can't go to the corner. We're sagging over the top, and we got a safety sitting over the top of the ball. We know that based on how these routes are moving, that he's not going to be sitting over the middle of the field. To me, the corner's already covered. So when my foot gets in the ground here, I should already be on the out, because my accelerator going through my drop, I can see that's capped before I even finish my drop. So when I readjust here, I should already be thinking to come off. Boom. Ball should be out now. And if anything, it will, if we watch here, it'll eliminate maybe 2 of those little hop steps. Boom. Okay. I'm already capped. I go here. It's not there. Ball here. And that little extra hesitation step, that little hop step. Now, does he get the ball out on time? Absolutely. Does he go through his progression how he should? I think he does fine. I think all of this is fine. I'm not critiquing. I'm saying this is how we can make it go faster. We should already know. We're not even to the top. We should already know. Top of the drop, I should already be ready to be going on to my out. I don't have enough space to throw the out. I'm already here. And if I can throw it a little bit earlier, maybe we give him time. So more plays like this where we give him simple reads, but adding those accelerators into the plays are going to make them more efficient and be able to turn some of these plays into bigger plays by giving more opportunities after the catch. All right, another passing situation here. It is 3rd down and long. We are on the edge of field goal range. I mean, it's a pretty long field goal right here. What we need to be able to do, because this is a bad spot, because, okay, for Paul Chryst, we're punting from this situation, but are we in the outer edge of field goal range with an inaccurate kicker? If we give the defense a stop here and get a bad play on 4th down, we are setting up where almost like a turnover. So we need an efficient play here. And what I really like what they do here, basically what this ends up being is a 2nd level screen where my 3 receivers, 2 receivers and a tight end, we're just going to run off and then we're going to block. And then we're bringing Vinny Anthony underneath on the line of scrimmage to catch the ball and then run up through the blocks created by his receivers. Now, a couple things that could have done this better here. As was a theme throughout most of this game, I don't think Darian Dupree did what he was supposed to, did it correctly. I don't think he had a very good game mentally. He runs to the flat. I don't see why he would be doing that. I mean, unless they're trying to give 2 options. I don't think so. The fact that when we run this, he actually runs into Eugene Hilton probably leads me to believe he's doing something wrong. So most likely what he's supposed to be doing, he's supposed to be turning the corner and getting up and blocking the safety. But what this is doing, two things, is usually in this situation in 3rd and 14, we are trying to throw a 20, 30-yard pass because that's just been the way we do it, chuck and duck, right? So we get Indiana, dropping out and bailing out, and where we get 3 players above the sticks, and we just create a lot of space, and we give Vinny Anthony the opportunity to make a play. Now, Darren Dupree actually maybe blocks somebody. Could this pop for a first down? Who knows? But it ends up being a nice game, which set us up in a good position for a field goal, which we missed. All right, next up, another passing situation. About 2 minutes left in the first quarter. And we're going to come out here in a 3-by-1, 11 personnel. Going to shift to 2-by-2. Love the condensed twins formation. All right, and we're just going to run curls, and we're going to run outs. And this is a nice, simple read. You identify the flat defender, and you find where his eyes are, and you throw behind his eyes. This is nice timing, good rhythm, puts the ball in the nice spot here. That's what we like to see. Okay, this type of play can be considered kind of an either-or type play. So if we want to think we are, with how these routes are being set up, we're 2-over-2 with a third up here. We're 2-over-2 here with a third up here. But with the way the routes are breaking, I don't like this side. So we want to get rid of the ball as quickly as we can to the outside. A little switch release. Stick it. Find the space. Okay, they have their flat defender up on the line. He's trying to bail after, basically, as soon as he gets, it's almost like here's another example of two things that I'm not a fan of so far this year. One, running play action to the short side of the field. And two, putting too much window dressing on a basic thing that they want to do. If we want to break this play down to the most basic essence of this pass, it is running Darren Dupree on a wheel. Fine. I'm totally cool with him running a wheel. But do we have to run the fake toss to the QB power to the setup to get him open on a wheel? And he's not. That's the problem. He's covered. And I think we do a pretty good job getting the ball out. Another thing we don't get here too is we'll look at it from the box angle, is how Indiana attacks the run portion of this, because we have been so run heavy and run focused throughout this season. Defenses are very aggressive to run action. We can see later we're going to catch them in it. But for the most part, when we give run action, these teams trigger downhill so quickly and so hard because they're not expecting more. I mean, you can just see the linebackers are reacting. They're stunting as well, which completely messes up the blocking scheme. It also doesn't help that as we talked about earlier, Raleigh Mullman and Joe Brunner just kind of push the pile into Davis Heinzen, which causes the pull, who's supposed to get around, to get pushed back. Could have been a lot easier. I mean, for the ball to land where it does. I mean, he doesn't track it very well. I'm not worried about that. For the ball to land 3 yards in front of him, with all that working against him, I'm actually okay. What I would rather see, if you want to run him on, we'll go back to the wide angle here. From a formation like this, if you want to run him, get the shift. If you want to run him on a wheel, fine, do it. But instead of all the eye candy, let's just run mesh. and send him up the sideline. We could spike someone over the ball, whatever. Do that. We could put Jackson Aker in the backfield. We could run play action. Just wide zone, simple, and then send them up the wheel. Instead, we have to have the entire dog and pony show before we can run what they're trying to run, which is just a wheel. And it makes it harder for us to block it. And it all adds up. Could the throw have been better? Yeah, he had 2 players in his face. And he had to pitch fake and power fake. Just cycle all that through your head at the same time and then ask you how easy you think that is for a freshman to do. Could we expect anything better than this in this situation? I certainly didn't. All right, into the second quarter now. And I just want to point out that it's interesting with this film I got. The entire game takes up 30 minutes of game film, which is fine. And we're already almost 13 minutes into the film. It shows you how little time we're actually going to have in the second half. But at least, okay, we're committing one of the fouls that I have, or one of the complaints that I have, again, for this year, is we're play actioning and booting to the short side of the field. But at least this time we've done it and we're giving him 4 options. What we've done previously at this point is usually end up keeping the backside tight end in, and then maybe the split flow guy goes to the flat, but a lot of times he ends up just blocking, and then running the deep corner and the crosser or the dig. So at least we're giving 4 options. However, by the time he gets his head around and he goes through his progression, because his first read is here, everything's covered. Now, this is youthful inexperience, where when we recognize that nothing is open, chuck it into the 15th row, and we end up losing 4 yards. But, you were using Indiana's aggressiveness against them. They're aggressive to the wide zone. Okay. I think we block it well. I think the play action portion of this play is fine. And I know everyone's looking here. We'll get to that in a second. But with the way the progression is, 1, 2, okay. So 1 to 2 to 3. Fine. I'm not a fan of the footwork. His footwork in the passing game can be very sporadic. He's got a really wide base, but he's got good feet moving in the pocket. Now, where I don't like this is the order and the progression. It's, again, we're looking for accelerators, right? And based on, okay, we should be seeing, if we don't go to the stick right here, readjust, we should already be dead. And we should already be onto the flat. So what I don't like on this is that they check release Gideon. Like, for me, I just want to set him straight in the flat. But 2, are we already capped? I think so. And if we don't go here, it's because the linebacker's sitting there. Where's the flat defender? Right here. We're capped above, we're capped below. I want to get rid of the ball now. Where's my running back? Now he's releasing. Takes too long. So we don't have an accelerator built in, but even if we did, it wouldn't have mattered because we couldn't get the back out in the flat. because he's check releasing. And I'm not saying he shouldn't check release, but you are putting yourself in a situation here where you're having. So, with this alignment here, it is really important that offensive linemen, of course, the number one rule in the run game for offensive linemen is trust your footwork. Okay. The number two rule is know your surroundings and know how the defense is lined up against your formation. So what I'm talking about here is we get a situation where we're going to see here that on the snap, Indiana slants. Okay? So what this ends up being is one of two things. One of these two guys here does not anticipate the movement and leaves the other out to dry. So what I mean by this, so right here, if we want to look pre-snap, Cubberly should be opening up here. He's working on a track here through the shadow of Mandel. That's what we should be thinking. Okay? Emerson Mandel is thinking the same thing. But if this guy here slants across his face, Emerson Mandel, who is going to pick him up with a 3-tech right here? Now, he's probably thinking, it's not my problem. And he's probably right. What ends up happening is Cubberly opens. He gets in a double team situation here with Heinzen briefly, and then he climbs to the second level. So clearly, he's focusing here through this gap. He's not thinking on the outer half of his gap. Now, should the situation be where Davis Heinzen is taking this guy by himself and Cubberly is going here and Mandel is going to second level? Maybe. It certainly looks like it could have hit that way. Now, I question how far downfield. Actually, that's not bad. Okay, I take that back. I was about to shit talk Raleigh Mallman. He went a long way. Okay, but for me, based on defensive alignment here, I'm thinking I would want to work here and work through his inside shoulder. Just based on the fact that I cannot assume that the guy inside of me has help. And because he doesn't have help here, we get a hat here. Okay, he's taken care of. And again, it's wide zone. We want to get him to our outside. And then we're going to get a hat here, and then maybe we're actually going to get a hat here. And then obviously as this game wore on, the defense wore out, and it got out of control by this point. But yeah, it is what it is. That's the mantra of this season now, isn't it? All right. And I think we're going to call it there. We got 4 minutes left, and it's just going to be kind of a lot of the same over and over again, and just a little bit anticlimactic getting here to the end. So, I saw some good things in this game, things that we can build on. I think what it's taking right now and just how the quarterback situation has been throughout the season is really changing the mindset of the play calling and the game planning to basically 4 very different quarterbacks with different skill sets. Some of the skills overlap, but to really change kind of some of the offensive philosophy. I like that you're seeing building blocks that have been there all year, seeing them building on other things throughout the season that tailor the offense a little bit more to each individual quarterback. But at the end of the day, it's too little too late, right? I mean, we can't sugarcoat this that much. Obviously, there's going to be a major rebuild on the offense in the offseason. I think we're going to see a lot of personnel gone. Offensive line, there's definitely going to be some rebuilding. I like a lot of the young players. And in a program where we've had young players play, but usually young players who would play here up till this point have been extraordinary. Now they're playing more out of necessity or are going to become good. I see a lot of talent here, but yeah, you can see the growing pains. Yeah, you can see how much they really have to simplify and dumb things down. At the same time, they're making things more confusing at other points. So it's been a mixed bag. We got 2 weeks left in the season. Let's just get through this and get to portal season. We can really start thinking about what this team's going to look like next year. If it's going to be more of the same or if it's going to be that step forward that we were promised here a couple weeks ago. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you, as always, for watching, and we'll see you next time.